Yes. Yes. I will now teach better. Great. Excellent. All right. Here we go. Graphs of sine, cosine functions, amplitude, period, horizontal, and vertical shifts. So yesterday we focused on A and B. Today we're going to focus on C and D as well. And what happens is the amplitude stays the same. It is the absolute value of A. From yesterday, do you remember the period? 2 pi over B. Very good. Now the horizontal shift is just a little bit different, okay? Horizontal, do we look for things on the inside or the outside? Inside. Vertical, do you look for things on the inside or outside? Outside. So which letters are on the outside? D and A. And so A affects the amplitude, that vertical stretch, whereas D will affect the vertical shift. That's what your vertical shift is, just whatever D is. In order to do the horizontal shift, I have to look on the inside, specifically at Bx minus C. And what I do is I solve Bx minus C equals 0. And that does, in fact, tell us our horizontal shift. Now, I apply the transformations in a different order. I've taught this many times. I have not always seen. You can't do it. You can't do it. But like, I know. Like these two up there, they're just like, you know, you guys can't see her. They're just laughing at me the whole time. Like, Brianna hasn't even written anything down yet. She's been laughing the whole time. Okay, she hasn't been able to operate her pencil. Okay, all right, whatever. All right, we'll try. So the deal is that I've taught this many times, and I never used to teach it like this until about 3-4 years ago. This is the way that you will understand it better. Okay, perform the transformations in this order. Start with the vertical shift. And I'm going to start with letter B because I think that makes more sense for us. What is the vertical shift for letter B? Yeah. So what I do is vertical shift is D, and I draw a horizontal axis through D. So for letter B here, I'm going to identify the vertical shift, which you said was 2. Okay. And then what's the amplitude? 3. So amplitude is absolute value of A, and I'm going to then mark the max and min. Tell me if this graph is shifted up 2 units and then the amplitude is 3, what's the largest value the function will achieve? 5. So I'm going to draw this horizontal axis through 2, and then I'm going to mark the maximum and minimum values of the function. You told me the maximum value is 5. What's the minimum value going to be? -1. Because the amplitude is 3, so I'm going to go 3 up from 2 and 3 down from 2. Yes? Emily, was that you that asked the question? Okay, I was trying to. Okay, so that makes sense then. Okay, great. All right, so period is what? 2 pi. 2 pi divided by b, which b is 1 in this case. We just have 2 pi. So your period, you'll do 2 pi divided by b, and you mark the period. And how many quadrants does it take for sine and cosine to repeat themselves? 4. So, and divide into 4 parts. So just like we did yesterday, we divided into 4 parts because it takes 4 quadrants for it to repeat. So that marks where all the spots where it's positive and the spots where it's negative. So I'm going to mark off 2 pi. I'm going to divide it into 4 spots. Half of 2 pi's. Yep, exactly. Is there a horizontal shift? No. Look at the inside. It's just x. Set x equal to 0, you get 0. So there's no horizontal shift. That's the one I do last. So now I'm going to graph it. Does cosine start at the max or min, or does it start at the middle? Max or min? Is this going to be at the maximum or the minimum? The maximum. Because it's positive, cosine will either start at the top or bottom. Sine starts at the middle. And since it's positive, it'll start at the top. Okay? Where do I go? If I'm at the top, I have nowhere to go but down. Now, instead of crossing over 0 at pi over 2, you'll cross over the axis at pi over 2. After I cross over 0, or that spot, then I go down to the minimum at -1. After I get to -1, I'm going to go back up to that middle spot. And then from there, I'll go to the maximum. Yep. And there you go. So we've now shifted it. We did a vertical shift. Not too bad, huh? Horizontal is tougher. And the first one is a horizontal example, so let's do that. Okay? What is the vertical shift here? 0. So I'm going to be centered right on the x-axis. You don't have to draw that line, but if you want to, you sure can. What's the amplitude? 1. So I'm going to mark off 1 and -1. What is the period? 2 pi. Is there a horizontal shift? Solve the inside equal to 0 and you get pi over 4. Nope, I'll show you. I also like to put tick marks over there. Okay. Here's the trick. And I highly encourage you to do this. If you see past it, then go ahead and do whatever you want to do. But for the horizontal shift, I encourage you to make a ghost graph first. Make a ghost graph of all that stuff. Then we'll apply the horizontal shift. So when I say ghost graph, I mean a dotted line. That's not our actual graph, but that we'll use to sketch the next graph. That's generally the easiest way to do it. Where does this start? Top, bottom, middle. Middle. And it's going to go up. And you can even move backwards if you want. You can see that I put some dots over there. So as I make some dots, I refer to that as my ghost graph. Just because I wanted to. The horizontal shift you then apply. Solve bx minus c equals 0, which we've done, okay? And then you apply the shift. So we've made our ghost graph. Now we'll apply the shift. So we need to move this whole graph, which direction? To the right. Pi over 4. Compare pi over 4 to your tick marks. How much of a tick mark is pi over 4? So each one of these dots, I move half of a tick mark. Do you see it? I mean, doesn't that look nice? And by the graph, by comparing the regular graph to the ghost graph, you are confident that it shifted pi over 4 units, aren't you? Because I could grab that blue graph, and look at that. Just pull it right over it, and there it is. You know, you just maps right on top of it. So you can be confident that that's the right graph. So a lot of people will, if they don't draw the dotted graph, then they ask this question, did I do it right? Well, if you drew the previous graph, you've got a better idea of whether or not you did it right. Second of all, when you're on the test, if you don't draw your ghost graph, it better be graphed darn well, because I'm going to be looking for how to grade it. And trust me, I like to compare it to what we've done before. It makes it a lot easier for me to say, okay, yeah, they knew what they were doing. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, let's try 2 harder ones. Okay? All right. Vertical stretch, or vertical shift. -2, amplitude. 4. So, if the amplitude is 4 and the vertical shift is -2, what is the smallest value we'll get to? -6. What's the biggest value we'll get to? +2. So I'm going to draw my horizontal axis right through -2, and I plotted my max and my min. What is the period in this case? Y. Very good. So your period is 2. B is the number in front of the X. We haven't done it yet. Is there a horizontal shift? There is. So let's sketch a ghost graph first. Is this going to start at the max, the min, or the middle? Starts at the minimum because it's a cosine. Cosine will start at the max or min. And because it's negative, it'll start at the minimum. So I go down to -6. And where does it go from there? It has to go up. Crosses over the center. Then it will reach its maximum. There's my ghost graph. How do I figure out the horizontal shift? What do I do? Pi x minus 1 equals 0. So you get pi x, pi x is equal to 1, so x is equal to 1 over pi, or approximately 0.3. So, approximately 0.3. So how does 0.3 compare to a tick mark? A little bit more than halfway, right? Halfway would be 0.25 of a tick mark. So we're going to go each one just a little bit more than half of a tick mark. So this is really an estimation. But, I mean, it's really going to be an excellent, excellent graph. Thought these were easy numbers. No, I know what you're saying, Emily. I think that these are very fair. Because the period is 2 pi, you know, you definitely come out with situations that don't always work out just great. So you really just need to estimate. And I could tell. If you draw that ghost graph ahead of time, I could tell. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a shift of pi over 3. That's not quite a full tick mark. I know what they were doing. You know what I mean? So I really like seeing both graphs together. It really gives me confidence. Okay. Any questions on that last one before we move to the last one? Yeah. Oh, because your b value is what's in front of x. And your b value is pi, right? And the period is equal to 2 pi divided by b. And since b is pi, those just cancel. So that's why I put that one in there so people can see that the period doesn't always have a pi attached to it. Sometimes the pi's go away. Can have either or. Yeah? Anything else? Okay, last one. Here we go. Vertical shift. 3. Is it making sense to you guys why we're doing the vertical shift first? Okay, so vertical shift is 3. Amplitude is 1. So what's going to be my maximum? 4. And what's going to be my minimum? 2. I go 1 up from 3 and 1 down from 3. Megan, you took regular trig last year, right? Is this, I need feedback here. Is this connecting? Okay. Okay, so I got my maximum of 4 and my minimum of 2. What's the period? Pi, how'd you get that? 2 pi divided by 2. It's pi. Miss Hannah, your voice faded out there. Did you get your question answered? Okay. All right. What? Yeah, so does this have a horizontal shift? It does. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to sketch a ghost graph. And since this is sine, does it start at the top, bottom, or the middle? Starts at the middle. And is it going to start by going up or down? Why? It's negative. Solve. X is equal to what? Pi over. What's pi over 2 divided in half? Pi over 4. So how much do I move each dot? 1 full tick mark, correct? Because each tick mark is labeled as pi over 4. If we were to sketch that on our calculator, that's exactly what we get. Bring it up real. Yeah, there it is. There's my graph. So these look like very complicated graphs. We can draw them pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. What do you think? Ready to get an A? See how you can ace this one? There we go. I gave you your assignment yesterday, correct? What? There you go. One second, let me stop this.